So anyway, Skylar was the architect on this, you guys, and on the details and things too. I think Skylar definitely has more knowledge than I do in the end of how everything is kind of put together. So you guys have any questions on that? Rob was explaining the foundation detail a little bit, the 15 mil and things. And that's something we worked together on.
Yeah. Yeah, that was.
Because again, it was it's trying to fit a tight budget with some higher level details.
Mm-hmm.
So the long-term staging, so homeowners are taking it from this point through finish as they can afford to finish things out.
Mm-hmm.
So the other reason to go with a Siga wrap is it just really super protects the building, and it has a much better rating and UV exposure than any of the other wraps. So if this were left like this for a year, we're not going to have a building rot problem. Whereas if you did this with Tyvek, with the multiple staples, even with those and that sort of thing, those details can penetrate leaks into the building. So it's got a metal roof and the Siga wrap. It's actually pretty good for a long period of time on its own. And then the superior kind of flashing details. And it's a thermally broken slab. Is that?
I was pointing that out to folks as well.
Yeah. Do they make this in black? You can't do it as a green screen.
I mean, you can. You just,
You see
the shadow lines is it's dark enough, but the white tape. They do everything color coded. So they have their different colors for things. So they have their green tape, their white tape, their roof tapes and roof membranes. So they have all different types. But so the Siga's weather resistant mirror on the outside is the blue. So it's kind of that's how they go. But they've been doing, and it's all water based product instead of oil based product. Tyvek's an oil based product. So petroleum based product. This is a water based product. It's much more durable than Tyvek, and it has a longer track record than Tyvek. They've been operating for close to 40 years now. With similar, they've evolved their product line over 40 years, but yeah, they have a much longer track record. And they do a fastener-less wrap system, which we don't really have any less than, like I was saying before, if you're going to have it exposed, that's kind of ideal. So it's hard to show that in a class when you describe it in a classroom. Yeah. But it's also very tear resistant. It's cross-linked. So the tape again is also water-based.
Does it matter whether you wrap the rolls like
vertically? It's still a plastic. What's that?
Does it matter whether you wrap them vertically or horizontally, like you have here?
They have
calls for vertical installation.
Yeah, it calls for vertical installation, exactly. So and then lapping and taping,
which actually is really easy. I mean, I've installed Tyvek both in a circle and hanging from the top and hanging like a curtains. Far and wide, a lot easier. It's the longest. 40 meters. I mean, the rolls, I think they come in meters, so I think it's 120 meters roller.
So 500 feet or so.
Alright. I mean, you can get.
Yeah. And you can lap. Yeah, I mean, you know. This is their light frame construction product. So this would be wood framing. Above, you wouldn't really do wood framing at that height. But again, also completely, if you're chemically sensitive, the other benefit too is you're eliminating petroleum-based products in and around the home.
So what will go on top of that eventually? Is it going to be foam?
There's, I think, Matt would love to see cedar of some sort, or like Matt's a homeowner, Matthew. A homeowner. So I don't know. I think Matthew doesn't want to end up in the cement board world.
If we can help it, yeah. So
You
we'll
know.
just see, what our budget says. You can
Smart,
do,
yeah.
hardy plank, obviously, everyone knows you can put hardy plank up first, and then it just goes up from there.
Yeah.
We were originally going to do like the charred cedar, like the Shosugiban,
Which would be the top. Hardy plank here.
which we went through a bunch of dialogue with it's definitely, but then it ended up being just too much.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the beauty of cedar is if they did put raw cedar up top, you know, it goes through this kind of ugly duckling phase with blotchiness, but then it does silver and then blacken. So you know, you could, a less expensive way to do that is do that, or what our clients did on Lone Fir House, where they just took an Osmo, black Osmo, and finished the cedar with it that way, so they got to that black right away. But it's not quite as characterized as the Soji Shoban. But again, the square footage, Skylar, I can't.
I think it's 420.
Is that really what it came out?
Well, it's 240 on the bottom.
Oh, is it 460?
460 technically. Yeah.
460 square feet.
Mhm.
So sorry guys, 460 square feet of livable space. Yeah, and I think I was thinking it was like close to 500. That's, you don't. It's only a loft.
It's only half. Yeah.
How was the permitting process for you?
The permitting process actually wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. I mean, I think it was about a month. They held them for probably 6 weeks or so. It has to hit a lot of desks down at the city, but yeah, pretty reasonable. And
They really do a lot of stuff to have it, match. It's an ADU, so the regulations are pretty stringent, and they came back with, made us resize some windows to make them proportional to what was on the original house and stuff.
And so did we also have to do double hungs, or was that part of the design originally? I can't remember.
Yeah, no, it was originally part of the design,
Yeah.
but it was, you have to have the windows in the style of the,
Yeah, exactly.
the house doesn't have any of its original windows, so it's kind of like, it's a little arbitrary.
Yeah, no kidding.
The metal roof, how did that go?
There
Wasn't any issue there.
It's pitch.
It was important.
It's pitch, proportion of windows. Eaves have to be a minimum of a foot or match. Siding has to be the similar. It's lap siding, but they said we could do a horizontal open rain screen even, as long as it's, the same orientation and similar sizing. So.
What's the square footage on the main house?
the main house is 975 on the top, and the city says 7, but it's 600 below. Yeah, 600 below. It's a 2/3 basement, and the 1/3 crawl space.
And so did you end up with the Eternal or the
Yes,
Navian?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So and then there's
One
a
with the Eternal,
so there's the condensing boiler in the house. Does all of the hot water needs for the house, and is also doing the hot water needs and for the, and is it doing any heating in this space too, or?
Yeah, it's radiant
space?
floor.
So yeah.
So it comes out, as you can see, here's the clean out.
Yeah.
It goes right underneath here, turns about right here, and goes like this. It's a long run, it's about 70 feet. It goes down there, and it goes into my my stack, which is about 2/3 down to the house. So it's about a 75-foot run.
And then in the end, how was that insulated or dealt with?
We did one run of corrugated, I don't know what it is, 6-inch, and all the hot water is insulated inside that, and it runs the whole run, obviously. So there aren't any breaks at all from what you see in the black plastic bags in the middle inside the ADU, and it's already connected, of course, in the basement.
So and that condensing boiler is 98% efficient.
Yeah.
That's its energy factor is 98%, which most of those high efficiency or on-demand gas is about 80%, and then the high efficiency, just standard atmospherics are 62%. So it's a very efficient gas boiler. There's going to be some losses coming out here, but there's also the fact that that unit's now able to be, the thing about condensing boilers, they can produce a lot of heat. So now we're actually utilizing this building to basically run that at its maximum efficiency. So we don't have cycling losses and that sort of thing from the unit inside. So as much as there's some loss in the distribution, it's relatively minimal to the amount that we actually maximize the efficiency of the unit. So it'll be interesting to see when.
And we
when
have
they're both running.
temperature gauges already in line downstairs ready.
Mhm.
They're obviously not being used yet, but
Yeah.
once we turn it on, we'll be able to gauge the loss, however small. We don't think it's, like Stefan said, we don't think it's going to be
Yeah.
huge. We also did put it 4 feet down at least. It's a very deep trench.
Yeah, which
And,
here is earth temperature, so
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
like 50 to 55 degrees here. So
It was pretty crazy. Right before Christmas, all that rain before Christmas. I was out here shoring up and fighting it. And makes for great pictures. But,
Merry Christmas.
yeah, it was a Merry Christmas. But it was nice. I know this looks like a disaster, but you should have seen it before.
that's great.
No. Yeah.
I was in a lot of the theoretical conversations beforehand, and
Mhm.
it's nice to hear how it actually. came
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I mean, they're kind of, some of his, some of mine, kind of crazy ideas. He said, just kind of, he jumped on him and said, yeah, that's totally possible. Let's do that. And next thing I know, I'm 4 feet down with the guys,
Covered in mud.
trenching out and shoring up, and
What's
Yeah.
your plan? Is it for a relative or a rental or extra space?
it's for us or for rental, but short term only. We're gonna do short term. Yeah. So weekends, overflow from Kennedy School.
Oh, I see.
I've always loved ADUs from ever since, just years ago. Always just really wanted one. And but when we had our child, we couldn't find a place. Our house is so small, we couldn't find a place for our relatives to stay. Kennedy School was always booked, overbooked. We couldn't just find anywhere in the neighborhood, so we always had to house them here, which is okay, but it's a small place. And so then we really jumped on, we've got to build another place for an ADU. So when the relatives do come, it'll only be short term if anybody else is in here, and then we can have the relatives here as well. So that's the idea, or we use it, so it's multi-function. Yeah.
I missed the part about how are you going to heat it?
It's radiant.
With
There's a-
radiant.
Yeah.
In the
And that's
slab?
and that's
Yeah.
the eternal hybrid condensing boiler that we're just.
Is the radiant already piped in the
Yes.
slab?
Yes, piped
Oh,
in,
okay.
yeah.
How much insulation below the slab?
Rob, do you know?
I know the perimeter.
Yeah, I'd have to. It's at least R15. And how much insulation below the slab?
We have 4 inches of EPS,
So R20, basically,
and then 2 inches wrapping up the wall.
and then
Right.
2 inch up the wall. So yeah. So it's a thermally broken slab, broken from the foundation, and then a 15 mil vapor barrier under that.
Yeah, it's nice because the space you see, we're not going to have a hot water heater snuck underneath the stairs or underneath the kitchen sink, which is kind of you see that if you go into ADUs. We'll open up the kitchen underneath the kitchen cabinet, and there's a small, electric boiler, and it's good for one shower, and
Yeah.
then you're in trouble and you have no more hot water anyway. So this gives us more space, plus a cleaner overall look. So.
And if you guys want to look inside the space, and I don't know